Oh, well, the weather outside is, I mean, it depends where you are, really. It's sunny here in Austin, Texas. Florida, and the entire East Coast may have a little bit of inclement weather. And you could be watching us live from anywhere in the world. Welcome, everyone, to today's holiday cooking. It's a very exciting day. We have a lot going on today. Of course, Debbie's Dream Foundation, holiday cooking. I'm so honored and grateful that you have given us this hour of your day. And of course, you can watch it later on through the foundation's website. Who am I, first and foremost? If you've never been with us before, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Nathan Lyon. I am an Emmy-nominated outstanding culinary host. I earned a health sciences degree with a public health minor from James Madison University. I dabbled and completed a course to become a medical technician. Nope, don't want to do that. Worked with farmers in Southern California for over a decade, and I've been cooking on television for 15 years. That is me in a nutshell. I'm a Pisces and the youngest of three boys. None of that blither blather even pales in comparison with who we have here today with us. Mary Eve Brown, the incredibly knowledgeable Mary Eve Brown. She is like, you ask a question and out comes the answer. I'm sure all of you were here for her. Mary Eve Brown is a clinical oncology dietitian at Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center. Mary Eve Brown, how the heck are you?
Awesome! Happy holidays, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. This is like the highlight of my day. Yay!
Fantastic. All right, well, those of you that have been with us before, this is how it works. If you have any sorts of questions, you would just type it in your little chat box, and then this voice right over here.
Good afternoon, good morning.
Wherever you are, good, just good. We'll just say it's good. It's a good day, good night. That is Sarah Foreman. She will make it so that we will have this incredible dialogue between the three of us. Myself, Mary Eve, I'll take, and of course, any cooking questions. Mary Eve Brown will take all the other questions, which is a huge, that's a lot to throw on her back, but she is always up to the challenge, and her answers just make me a better chef and more knowledgeable teacher. Today is a big day. If you have your dancing shoes on, it is a really big day. Now, I'm going to start by saying, even though we're going to accomplish a lot today, all of these recipes, of course, will be on offer to you whenever you need them, and you don't have to do them all in the same amount of time that I do them in. If you want to work on one recipe, put it in the fridge, you can bring it out a couple days later and enjoy that. Really, all the recipes you can go ahead and make whenever you want, and then bring them out for the giant feast that you hopefully will have during your holiday or any old day here in late December. Yeah? Okay. Yep. So let's make it happen. The first thing I'm going to do is just explain what the heck this thing is. This is a turkey breast. We've just sort of like spun off of Thanksgiving. A lot of you may have had turkeys. Some of you may have had turkosauruses, big old junker turkeys. I recommend pretty small turkeys, but if it's a small gathering, let's say it's just myself and I really like turkey sandwiches, I'm just going to buy the turkey breast. Oftentimes you'll see it with the skin on, which is what I have right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roast this in the oven at a very low temperature. At the same time, I roast some beets. And then you have so much time just to chill out because it'll take about 2 hours and 15 minutes for this turkey to roast. I've already done one, so we're not going to be here like looking at the clock and drinking coffee for 2 hours and 15 minutes, which I think is not a bad idea because clearly by my energy level, I love coffee. Yeah? Okay. So I have my turkey breast here. The cool thing about turkey breast is it's a very lean meat. Okay. In comparison to other things like the turkey thigh, where you have to cook it for a much longer period of time, the turkey breast is nice and lean. You just don't want to overcook it to make sure it stays nice and tender. Also, what I want to do is I want to accentuate the flavors. I want to kind of pump all that stuff up. So what I want to do is do a little spice rub. Yeah, do a little dance, make a little turkey, eat food tonight. Okay. So we'll do some coriander, which for me has this lovely floral quality to it. I just love it so much. I'm going to go ahead and put some in here. According to the recipe, it'll say like a teaspoon. If you really like coriander, go for it. Bump it up. If you don't like coriander, just double the fennel. If you want a little cumin, go crazy. This is just more along the lines of the method that I want you to learn to make sure it's the most easeful experience. You can use this for Thanksgiving if you want. You can use it for Christmas. You can use it for whatever you want, New Year's even. It just should be really nice and simple. And I don't want people going crazy when it comes to cooking, because it should be kind of fun. Yeah, there's a lot of stressors on offer. Oh, you know what? And for those of you that are looking for a few holiday ideas, what is this? An amazing grinder? Yeah, this totally works for the holidays if your grinder's not very good. Freshly ground black pepper, super duper important. Kosher salt, super duper important. If you use the pre-grated black pepper that comes in those McCormick's tins that your grandmother gave you when you graduated high school, which was 30 years ago, depending upon your age, that pepper is gone, okay?
And their age shaking her head.
Yeah.
No.
It's just terrible. And for
It's the
those of you that
volatile
like
oils.
coffee,
It's the oils that's in the peppercorn itself that's important.
that's
And so
exactly
if you're
right.
buying it pre-ground, you're not getting any of the health properties to it. And it's not going to be as enjoyable as if my big one that I I have like the industrial size one over there. There it is. There she is.
Oh, I love her.
I mean, you're exactly right, Mary Eve. All the essential oils for health benefits and also for flavor. We did mention, or I mentioned coffee just a moment ago. And imagine, if you will, for those of you that drink coffee or enjoy coffee, that you grind your coffee beans and then put them in a container and then put them in one of your upper cabinets for 3.5 years. And then 3.5 years from now, we'll go ahead and call you and say, make that delicious fresh cup of coffee with 3.5-year-old ground coffee beans. It's not going to be very good. The same thing applies with black peppercorns. Okay, you want that fresh, delicious essential oils that fresh peppercorns can give you. So
Can I say
all I've
something else
done-
about pepper, Chef? Can I say
What was
something else
that?
about pepper? Can I say something else about pepper?
Of course.
So a lot of people know about the health properties of turmeric, right? That it's anti-inflammatory, it's, cancer preventative, it's disease positive from a standpoint. If you add a little bit of black pepper, if you're doing turmeric, it helps the curcumin, which is the health property of turmeric, get into your system.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That'll make a nice little turmeric for this afternoon, a little turmeric black pepper latte. Stop it. Mary Eve, stop it. You're just encouraging my behavior. So, so when you look at a turkey breast, same with a chicken breast, you can see it has this natural slope. It's like a teardrop shape, okay? What happens is much of the time, and even salmon that'll start thick and taper off to the tail end always has a tendency to overcook. Of course it would, because it's not as thick as this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the whole thing the same thickness. You can do this with fish, chicken, and even turkey. I'm going to take the tail end that comes to this point, and I'm just going to tuck it under like this. Okay? And then you have this sort of like ball that has the same thickness from the left to the right to the front and the back. So you're not going to have any part of it's going to be overcooked or undercooked. And all I have to do is transfer this beautifully seasoned, like sort of roulade turkey breast that's seasoned over here to my sheet pan. I have a sheet pan that's covered with foil, and I have a cookie cooling rack, and I've just put it on that so it cooks nice and evenly. Okay, so that's super duper easy. Let me go ahead and hand this off to Sarah, right? I don't need these anymore. And I have a brand new cutting board under here so that I'm good to go, right? So we're good to go. This can stay here. We're just chilling out. My oven, as I was saying, slow roasting, is set at 250 degrees. I have it at the sort of middle lower level, and also the highest level. The beets will go on the top level, and then this will kind of shove right here in the middle lower level. The reason I'm doing 250 degrees is because when you use a super high temperature and you're very social like me, you may miss that sweet spot and don't want to overcook the turkey. But a nice low temperature, slow and low, will give you so much more time to relax, do these other recipes, and have a really good time. It's not going to overcook. It's going to take about 2.25, 2.5 hours. So you're good to go. Okay?
Patricia says, I love these cooking events. Thank you so much.
Oh, Patricia, it's so good to have you back. It's really, really fun. Does anyone know what this is? Anyone know what these little gems are? These are beets, okay? These are golden beets, and of course you've seen a red beet. back in the day, these are beauties, but like it's nice, maybe 6,000 years ago along the Mediterranean, it was only this. It wasn't even this beet bulb. I want to ask Mary Eve Brown about the beet greens because I know most Americans just discard them. Actually, yeah, I know. But I want to ask you, like, there are certain greens that people can't have depending upon where they are in the process of healing. But go ahead and sort of, if you would, because I want to keep them, but I'm not sure if I should serve them. If we can, I'll teach you how. So the beet greens, Mary Eve, take it away.
Yeah, so I always get so mad when I go to the grocery store and it's just the beet and they took off the greens and threw them away. I'm like, what the heck? You can cook those, you can saute them. A lot of times people, if they're in chemotherapy or radiation, they're not going to tolerate greens that great, but you totally can tolerate the beet. Some people they've had partial gastrectomy, they can do some greens. Some people can't. I don't recommend doing them during the treatment and then soon after post-op, but if a period of time after recovery, if you want to try some greens, I love the beet greens. I would probably overly cook them till they're really tender and soft. The other thing I've got a big one in the refrigerator right now, is I pickle them. They're really simple to pickle. It's just a refrigerated pickle. And sometimes that can be tolerated, sometimes it can't, but roasting the beet, overcooking the beet can also help with tolerance.
That's perfect. That's exactly how we're going to prepare them today. We're gonna over roast them. I've never heard of a chef say, just go ahead and put these beets in the oven for 2.5 hours. It's so great because it's like when you bite into a perfectly cooked beet or a perfectly cooked carrot, it just cleaves under the pressure of your teeth without being mushy. That's exactly how these turn out. And what I've done is I've taken these darker beets, which I believe are going to be healthier, and these golden beets, which won't be as healthy, but they're really, really delicious. And I think visually,
they're both have health properties to them.
fantastic.
And the other thing, variety of color, right? Each color gives you a different cancer fighter. So the golden beets are going to have different phytonutrients than the purple red beets. So I love that you're doing both of them. And when I pickle my yellow beets, I put more turmeric in it and black pepper, which we just started with the discussion. So that's awesome. You read my mind, chef.
Okay, so I'm gonna write this down. I'm supposed to make a red and golden beet turmeric black pepper latte. Is that what you're telling me? Is that for the best health benefits and throw in a roast turkey? Listen, I'm open. I don't know much, but these things I'm learning.
Let's see. Patricia says, I love beets. The greens are super delicious. I have found cooking them down by sauteing them. I also use the beet juice.
Oh yeah.
And then Nancy's asking if you use a thermometer to check when the turkey is done.
We do. Yes, we do. Great thing. What I recommend, when I went to Le Cordon Bleu, they'll say, oh, use your finger and you press here, and this is medium rare. That's trash. This is the way to do it. If you don't have an instant, read thermometer that doesn't have one of these little things to it, you're still good to go because we're really slow roasting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this probe, into the thickest part of this turkey breast, the thicker part, I'll just put it in there, knowing that when I set it at the temperature I want, which we'll get to that later, it'll beep. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out just a smidge, maybe a ½ inch, and you'll see whether the temperature rises or falls. We will absolutely talk about the proper temperature later on. But for now, I want to make sure we get this in the oven. 250 for 2.5 to 2.25 hours. We'll see you here back at 6 p.m. Kidding, totally kidding. Okay.
And then Patricia asks, are there better vitamins and minerals in the root or stem?
Ooh, don't know.
So correct. There's different nutrients in the leafy part than there is in the bulb part. So that's a really, really, good question. So leafy greens, have folic acid and they have calcium, and the beet part has, vitamins that are very different than the phytonutrients that are in the leaves. So eating both parts of them is a really good way to get more nutrients in. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we have Carol from Florida. Hello, Carol.
Ooh, Carol, how's the weather? Ooh. Oh, the weather's good now, right? It was a lot of rain there for a moment.
Yeah, it's here now. The storm is going through.
Oh, that's true.
Actually, it's north of us now.
Okay. Okay, we're talking about colors, yeah? And I don't know if Mary Eve Brown wants me to throw this stuff in my latte either, but I will if she says to do it. It's going to be more helpful.
I think it's now a smoothie, chef.
I think you're right. You're definitely onto something. I love the fall. I just do as a chef. I think there's the most colors. I know there's nutrition associated with it, but things don't spoil as quickly, but you roast them. It's cold outside. You get to turn on your oven. There's something about fall that just makes me so happy. And visually is one of those cues. Oranges, dark purples, greens, all this stuff seems to go together. Reminds me of like a Rachel Ray set where it's just like orange and green and purple and these crazy things. I have in front of myself, I have a sweet potato, yeah. And I also have this purple sweet potato. I would love, Mary Eve, for you to tell me about this purple sweet potato. I'm not gonna use it today, but I just saw it and wanted to ask because I see so many different varieties of sweet potatoes. I'm gonna peel these carrots and also this sweet potato and put them in this steamer basket behind me and crank that sucker up. We're going to go ahead and steam some carrots and sweet potato, but I would love for you to walk me through what the healthiest sweet potato is on offer out there.
Yeah, so I love this thought that you always make with me, chef, is that we eat seasonally. So when we eat seasonally, we are eating closer to us. So if something is harvested and gets to my table pretty quickly, I'm going to have more nutrition in it. As soon as something is harvested, right, it starts to lose this nutrition. So each of those colors, right, it's giving me all the different, phytonutrients. And so the purple family, like the purple sweet potato, is going to be very similar to like purple cabbage, to the beets. And then the things that are orange, like the carrots and the sweet potato, all are going to have different health properties to them based on the color. So orange things have carotenoids in them, which is the precursor to vitamin A, right? So I like that you're using similar colors, but the variety of color is the important part of the whole thing. And then, chef, when you are steaming them, are you going to do anything with the liquid that's left or no?
I'm not. I know that when you simmer them, all those water soluble vitamins go into that water, but I'm going to make sure that it's elevated above that steam, so none of it should be getting into the liquid. As
Okay.
for example, if I were making a stew, I would go ahead and throw this all in the stock and then drink that liquid with all the nutrients. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're okay if I steam it.
Yeah, it's going to get locked in. And I think
Okay.
we've talked about this in the past, is that whenever you have a liquid that's left over from any vegetable that you're kind of using, you can have it frozen and then use it, in other dishes, like soups and stews and chilies and that kind of stuff. I always put sweet potato in my chili.
The sweet potato. I put sweet potato in the chili for sure. I mean, of course, I'm from Virginia and we don't do chili. So, beans, meat, sweet potato. I think someone would really run over my car if I just said that here in Texas. I would find that all my tires are gone. And I love that you said to the beat, y'all. In my head, you said to the beat, and I just went a little crazy with some late and early 80s hip hop.
I have another question for Mary Eve. Unless you need to.
No. I'm just gonna keep on shopping.
This is a question from a patient. I have been cleared as cancer-free. My journey included chemo, radiation, and a part removal of my stomach. I want to keep myself cancer-free. Are there any particular diets I should be following?
Congratulations. Number one. Number two is, if you've had a partial gastrectomy, that means that not the whole stomach was removed. A plant-based diet is really best. And that's really the best diet for all of us, is a plant-based diet. It doesn't mean that I don't eat animal. It just means I eat a lot of plants. So chef has highlighted a lot of them here, today. So the variety, we talked about the vegetables. It's eating plant proteins, which are beans and lentils and legumes and nuts. So when you're partial gastrectomy, after a period of time, whatever your recovery is. So recovery is the amount of time that you were in treatment, and then to surgery is the amount of time out. So if you were 4 to 5 months of chemotherapy and then 6 weeks, and then you got to surgery, it's going to be that accumulation of time in recovery. And after that point of time, probably, 6, 7 months, you can go home on a gastrectomy diet, but then you start to test the waters. Like, what vegetables can I tolerate? What plant-based proteins can I tolerate? So it's a variety of plant proteins, vegetables, whole grains are really important as well. So quinoa and farro and whole grain, brown rice, all of those things. Some fruits if you can. Dairy, 2 to 3 servings a day of dairy. So it's a transition of period to see what you can tolerate with a partial gastrectomy. A total gastrectomy is a little bit different. That's going to be patient specific, but it's a plant-based protein, plant-based diet. That's really what you want to follow for survivorship.
I mean, it sounds like what you and I would eat when we go on our road show next year. Woo! I really think we should. I just think we should. I think all
I
of
don't know what
us
this I don't know what this energy would be like in person.
Oh, it would be, well,
Trust me, Mary Eve, it's a lot.
wait, are you texting Mary Eve right now, Sarah? What's happening? Do you have a sidebar of texting that's happening here? It seems a little strange. Okay. We've already gotten a lot accomplished. Yeah, we've seasoned, we pulled the skin out, we've seasoned underneath the skin. We have the turkey breast roasting in the oven, along with those 2 different colored beets. They're going on. I'm going to save these greens later on. I will probably saute them with a little bit of red wine vinegar, olive oil, salt, and pepper. It's a delicious side. So I'm going to go ahead and save these beet greens. Thank you, Mary Eve, for saying I should save them. We also have, as you saw me, just peel and just randomly cut up carrots and sweet potato, the orange variety of sweet potato. You don't have to worry about knife skills here. You do want to make sure that it's cut. Pieces are small enough so that eventually they do steam and get nice and soft. But I'm going for cooked through, yeah? So for something about that size with tinier pieces, 20 to 25 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and just blitz them nice and smoothly in a food processor. You can mash them up with your hands. You can do it in a blender, whatever you want to do. You can even serve them just ready to go with a little bit of ginger and butter and salt, which is exactly how we're going to go ahead and process this later on. We have a lot happening at once. The dance continues. Oh, thank you. Wow. Anyone want a cappuccino? Me. How about a smoothie with turkey in it? Absolutely. Sounds great. Okay, so the next thing is gravy. People texted me a lot, maybe 3 weeks out from Thanksgiving, which I love. And they'll just text me and say, what about the gravy? The most simple gravy is also one of the more delicious gravies. We're just going to go ahead and melt a little bit of butter. We're going to add some flour to that, whisk it. As we're cooking that down, you want to get rid of some of that flour taste. Then we're going to whisk in, as we're pouring, whisk in some chicken stock. Now, I really enjoy Better Than Bouillon chicken stock. And this is a true story, talked a woman out of, she already had it in her cart yesterday at our local grocery store here in Austin, Texas. I said, do you enjoy that box stock? And would you drink a glass of it? She was like, that sounds disgusting. And I said, yeah. So you're cooking with something that you don't even like. I love Better Than Bouillon, so maybe you should get that. And she did, and I got no money from that. But I did get a high five from somebody that worked there. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have this pan over like medium low heat just to melt the butter. And I'm going to go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of butter. If you like gravy, you can make it ahead of time, put it in the fridge and just simply rewarm it. This is one of those things. Same with the sweet potato puree, same with the turkey. All this you can make ahead of time, just bring it out and rewarm it, okay? So what I'm gonna do for the ratio that I like is like 3 tablespoons of butter to 4 tablespoons of flour. I'm gonna go ahead and just cut that in half because it's just me and Sarah and our little mini dachshund, little guy who could probably eat more turkey than both of us, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just add about a tablespoon and a half of butter, because everything is better with butter. Maybe not in a smoothie, but you never know these things. I'm going to let this melt down and grab yourself a whisk. I already have a couple other not so secret flavor ingredients that are going to help boost this gravy. Fresh herbs I have off to the side. Thyme, rosemary, bay leaf. That's my thing. You don't have to do it, but I like it. Another thing you can add at the end, if you want like more umami, which is like savoriness, is a little bit of soy sauce. Soy sauce, which is like a flavor bomb, and it just bumps up that flavor, okay? So I can hear that the butter is sputtering a little bit. I just want it to melt. I'm going to add the flour, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk it just for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to where it's cooked through before I add that stock, okay? So here's my flour. Yeah. No magic tricks here, just a little flour. And the flour is the natural thickening ingredient here. For Thanksgiving, what I would do is I would buy a whole turkey and then spatchcock the turkey and then take like the wing tips and the spine and roast those and add that to the gravy. So I'm just adding flavor upon flavor upon flavor so that when people are at your dinner table for Thanksgiving or otherwise, and they taste it and they go, my gosh, and you're about to guzzle it. You're about to guzzle it like a Gatorade after a football game, and you have to jump on them to stop drinking the gravy because it's that delicious. It's that delicious, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just stir this around. Once it starts to look just a little bit cooked, again, I don't want the gravy tasting like flour. I just want the flour to be the thickener, the natural thickener. Now watch how slowly, I can just do it in front of you. Watch how slowly I'm gonna add this stock, okay? Pretty slowly. And the reason for that is I don't want it to clump. If you've ever had clumps in your gravy, that's because you add the liquid too fast. And that's that little sizzle. I like to think of that as the gravy applauding because it's so happy that I have no lumps. I'm so confident I'm not even looking down. Okay, now I'm looking down, just in case. If it looks like, it's not incorporating quickly enough, just go ahead and stop, give it a whisk, make sure all those lumps are gone. And then once they're incorporated, you can go ahead and just add the rest of the stock. Okay, just keep whisking as you go. And again, this is one of those things you can make ahead of time. Once all of this is incorporated, which it is, then I'm going to add it back to the heat. I'm going to go ahead and pop those fresh herbs in there. And then we're going to let it go. We're going to let it reduce. And the more reduction there is, the more intensified that turkey and or chicken flavor is, okay? This is going back over the heat. I'm going to turn it down. And the dance continues. I have rosemary. You don't have to pull them off and chop them or anything. What I recommend doing is just taking your hands and giving it a squeeze. It's like a little holiday herb squeeze, like a little, like a, whatever sound effects you make when you squeeze your herbs, that's completely up to you. Mine's, and that gets those essential oils coming out so that it infuses in the gravy better. Kind of like the essential oils we were talking about with the black pepper earlier. That goes in, fresh thyme, same thing, just give it a little bruise, and then a bay leaf from a bay laurel tree. And that's it. Okay, a lot of these things that we're making today, there's a little bit of effort up front and you let it go. A little bit of effort up front, you put it in the oven. A little bit of effort and it's in the steamer. And you can make it all ahead of time. So there's a lot going on, but yet we still have a lot of time to talk to Mary Eve Brown and just say, hey, what's going on? But she would want me to continue because that's what we do here. Okay.
The temperature.
Oh, the temperature. Yeah.
Getting
So
back to the question about the thermometer.
exactly. So someone had asked a question about a thermometer. Yes, you do need a digital thermometer. If you don't have anything else, this is a good one to have. Yeah, Thermapen, it's great to have. It'll work for this because we're not using like crazy super high temperatures, 450, 475. And you just go ahead and probe it in a couple different places. And you want to make sure it is not what the USDA will say to do. Let me explain. The USDA says that for a white meat, be it chicken or turkey, it needs to hit at least 165. It needs to hit 165 for less than a second for it to be safe to eat. That's a very low bar for everybody to get over. But Louis Pasteur tells us that you could heat it to say 150 degrees, and it only has to stay at 150 degrees or above for about 3 minutes, which it will absolutely do. In fact, we made a turkey breast, same exact size, yesterday, so you can see what it looks like afterwards. And these little yellow Post-its show exactly what happened. We pulled the turkey breast out of the oven at the thickest part at 148.4 degrees. It continued to go up for 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Remember, it only has to be at 150 for 2.8, maybe 3 minutes. So we're well under that. It is as safe cooking it to 150, continues going up for 13 minutes by far than it is at 165 for a millisecond, okay? So you want to make sure that that carryover cooking is taken into consideration. Same with steaks or fish or whatever that case may be. And it's a great indication of a sine curve. Pulled that out at 148. The temperature kept rising for 13 minutes before it tapered off like a sine curve. And that was 13 minutes. And it was at 153.8 degrees, and it held that temperature for 3 minutes. So we are so safe. It's a little bit silly. Okay, so we're good to go. And that's exactly what I'll pull this other one at.
So we have a couple questions for Mary Eve.
Please.
Mary Eve is coming on. She had just got bounced off basically because of weather. She had warned us pre-Zoom that
She did
the
warn
weather
us.
is been funky, but she's coming back on her iPhone. So I see your questions and we will get back to you as soon as we have Mary Eve back up and running.
Okay, so we have the gravy going. There's a lot going on here, but yet I remain calm and highly caffeinated. That's my sweet spot right there. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about one of my favorite things that my grandmother used to make when I was growing up in Arlington, Virginia. They lived 4 houses down the street, and my grandmother would make homemade applesauce. We would drive out to the Shenandoah Valley. We would pick apples. We would come back. She would have this cute little pewter knife that her little hands would just rip through, banging out, peeling off all the peels. And she would make homemade applesauce for us. And this is my homage to that. It's cinnamon, a little bit of salt, and some ginger. Good?
Yes, Mary Eve is back with us
She's back. Here we go.
amidst the crazy weather. She's getting ready.
Sorry.
Awesome. Welcome back.
What did I miss? A
Just
whole bunch, I
little-
bet.
Just the mute. Once you are back ready to go, I have a couple questions for you, Mary Eve. All right.
Can you hear me?
Good. We'll keep
I
going.
can't hear. You go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. I don't know who doesn't like applesauce. My brother Eric would eat applesauce and make a noise. This is absolutely God's honest truth. He would go, and he would inhale the applesauce. And to this day, we tease him. And so I don't know how that happened, but he did. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some fresh ginger. I love fresh ginger. When you get it from the grocery store or your local farmer's market, go ahead and just put it right in the refrigerator. Don't put it in a crisper drawer. Don't put it in a plastic bag. It'll hold the best. Just go ahead, putting it right in there. It'll last the longest. Take it away, Mary Eve.
All right, we are back.
Sorry.
This is
You can hear
real,
me okay?
guys. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I am so sorry. And then I tried to get on my phone and I'm old. So, okay.
We're happy you're back. I have a question ready for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Steve says, I am coming up to 16 years post-full gastrectomy. Gaining weight is almost impossible. I just started getting excited about cooking for the first time ever, and I'm really trying to maximize fat since I can't gain weight, but stay as healthy as possible. I eat everything, so looking for which plant bases should I incorporate into my new recipes that are best for weight gain with healthy fats.
Awesome. Congratulations. That is fantastic to hear. So healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts. I really like MCT oil. I don't know if we've talked about this before or not. So MCT oil, it's medium chain triglyceride, and it can be added to soft foods like the applesauce, which I personally don't like applesauce, but you can add it to applesauce. Stir it into yogurt, hot cereals.
It's dead to me. I'm going to throw it right in the compost right now. It's dead.
No, it's lovely for everybody, not me. So yeah, incorporating healthy oils, avocado oil, olive oil, incorporating some avocados, incorporating some nut butters or some nuts. And then definitely I think MCT oil can be your friend to add in easy calories, to 120 calories a tablespoon. And the reason I also like MCT oils is that it doesn't give me, so fats slow down gastric emptying. And so if I start adding a lot of fats to my diet, sometimes I can just get fuller quicker, and then I'm not getting as many calories in. Whereas the MCT, it's short chains. Normal fats have very long carbon chains, and so it needs a lot of digestion. MCT, it's short, so it doesn't fill you up the same way. It doesn't slow down gastric emptying the same way. So I would say those would be the great ways to add some extra calories in.
Fantastic. That's amazing. We're going to talk about, and I didn't write it down, so forgive me for one of the last times we were together, Mary Eve, but this applesauce doesn't just stop here. There is a bonus to this applesauce. and that is an apple pie protein smoothie. And if you would just sort of like recap, there was, and maybe you just mentioned it, but I was sort of really focused on this grading. There was a protein powder that you had mentioned that you really like. What are the proteins powder you like that has like incredible amounts of protein in it? I've forgotten what it was.
There's a lot of them on the market.
Yeah.
And picking them will depend on a lot of things. If I can go with a plant-based one, which is normally a pea protein, and I can do that, that's going to be my number one choice. And
Okay.
there are a couple of them on the market. The other would be, can it be a balance between like a whey protein and a plant protein? That could be a great one for you too, or just a kind of a whey protein powder. The ones that I tend to recommend tend to be unflavored, so they have more flexibility to them. If I get something that's flavored, I'm stuck in that wheelhouse, right? If I get chocolate, what goes with chocolate? No, banana, peanut butter.
Yeah.
But if you can get an unflavored one, I think that's a really good idea. The other is if you can't get an unflavored one, getting like a neutral vanilla, that's going to have more flexibility in it too. And that vanilla usually goes with most things. It can go with apples, it can go with mangoes, it can go with pineapple. That has more flexibility too. And I do tend to use protein drinks over top of powders sometimes, because sometimes this is in treatment and then post-op after surgery, the mouth is a little bit different. So if I have a powder and it doesn't dissolve all the way, I'm picking up like the little pieces of the texture of it, and that may not be so appealing. But if I buy something that's ready-made, the consistency of that can be something that I can drink pretty good.
Mary Eve, just going back to the MCT, first of all, Steve says, thank you. Never heard of MCT oil, so appreciate it. And Nancy asks, is there a limit to the amount of MCT oil you can take in a day?
So if you're not in any kind of treatment, there's no limit. If you are in treatment, it's 3 tablespoons a day. And I would also suggest to everybody, if you're going to try it, start with a teaspoon. So I'm just going to start with a teaspoon. Maybe I mix that in a smoothie. Maybe I mix that in some applesauce, or maybe I mix that in some yogurt or some hot cereal, and then slowly start to increase. So I do a teaspoon. I feel really good. I'm going to go to 2 teaspoons, maybe twice a day. I can go to a tablespoon. I can go up to 2 tablespoons. So yeah, it's 3 tablespoons with treatment. But if you're not in any kind of treatment, you're disease-free, God bless you, no limit.
Awesome.
You know, Mary, don't think I didn't pick up that subtle slide of you could add applesauce, even though I heard you cringing with all of your might, not enjoying applesauce. So I appreciate that. If there is a game player out there more game than Mary Eve Brown, then you should show yourself, because she is amazing. Okay, what I have done right now, as you were explaining these things, these incredible questions that are being posed. So thank you again for asking questions. That's why we're here, you know, as a chef and as a clinical oncology dietitian. Like, we're really here for you today. And I love it when people come with their questions. It means a lot to me. What I did is, you saw me, you know, randomly chop the sweet potato, carrots, threw it in my steamer basket. They're done. The best way to check anything for doneness, as far as a vegetable or a fruit, is you use a fork. Try not to use a knife, because a knife will just glide right into it. And it's sort of like it will falsely give you hope that it's done. But the tines of a knife give you enough resistance to where you will definitely know whether it's done or not. I went ahead and just poked in there. Sweet potatoes are definitely done. Carrots have just like a little bit left in there, but I'm feeling good about it, okay? I'm gonna add a couple of things to that. I went ahead and grated some fresh ginger, as we talked about earlier, and I didn't even show you this little jammy. If your box grater is much like your McCormick's black pepper pre-ground from your grandmother, if your grandmother gives you a box grater that's just all metal and it's all dinged and it's just beaten up, it's dull. It's like using a dull knife. Don't do it. I really like this one for microplane, just like the microplane that you would use, because you can pull that off and it's easy cleanup. Okay, really simple. I'm just trying to make your lives a little bit more easeful, because as a chef, if you don't like what you're working with, much like there's shoes that are beautiful and they're uncomfortable, you're not going to use it. Okay, so I have fresh ginger in here that I'm adding in.
Ginger is also a great digestive aid, everybody.
Fantastic. Would you add turmeric to this? Because I feel like that would be a trifecta. That would be the third time we would.
Totally would have turmeric to that.
I knew it. I felt it. I just felt it. Okay, so so we have fresh ginger. I have a little bit of butter that I can add to this as well. Give it a bit of creaminess. All right,
Mary
a little bit
is
of
coming
flavor.
in. If she can reach through this computer and over here.
Oh, is she feel-
Oh, yeah.
Is she feeling it?
She's got this beautiful fresh turmeric, but
Yeah, grocery stores carry fresh turmeric now. If you have a juicer, I mean, you can go and get that. It's fantastic.
beautiful.
Salt, a little bit of salt. Where did my salt go? Thank you very much. All right. Salt is really important. You don't want to add too much in the beginning. You can't take it out. You can always add a little bit more. Not a lot of ingredients in any of these dishes that we're making today together. Yeah. So we have the carrots, the sweet potatoes, butter, ginger, salt. That's it. A little bit of pepper, because I like pepper, and we're going to puree it up.
And while you do that, I have a question for Mary Eve.
Okay.
So hold that for one moment.
Yeah.
The question is, I struggle with drinking enough water. I cannot drink and eat at the same time since my surgery. Any tricks that might help?
Yeah, so that's one of the keys after a gastrectomy is you can't drink and eat at the same time. So then the dilemma is like, oh gosh, I'm doing something constantly all day long. So using things that have high water content to them can also sometimes help. So Jello, watermelon, sometimes ice cream if you're not dairy, have a dairy problem. So using things that have a high water content can help. The other key is anything that's caffeine free can count towards fluid. So it doesn't have to be water. And knowing how much you need to be drinking every day is also super duper important. And all these numbers get thrown around. Like I had a patient last week. She's like, I'm supposed to be drinking 120 ounces of water. I'm like, no, you're not. It's your body weight divided by 2. That number then is how much ounces of fluid that you need in a day. And then I also like kind of keeping track with a measurable tool. How many of those do I need to get in a day? And then sipping, something in between the meals can help. But if you have a measurable tool, then you can kind of keep track of it. So, and if it's a solid that melts to, if it's solid, but it melts to a liquid at room temperature, that counts towards fluid. So if it's 4 ounces of Jello, that's the same thing as 4 ounces of a fluid. If it's a half a cup, 4 ounces of watermelon, it's almost 80% fluid. And then definitely if you can do a frozen treat that's going to melt. And then also soups can count because they are liquid at room temperature. So number 1, how much do I need to be drinking a day? Number 2, have a measurable tool to keep track of how much you're drinking every day. And then if it's not water for you, try to find other things that melt to room temperature. That's going to count towards fluids. And that can also be nutrition drinks that we just talked about. Those smoothies, those are going to also all count towards fluid.
Really cool. You were saying as far as the healthiest way to eat earlier, Mary Eve, as far as vegetarian, and we get a substantial amount of liquid from the fruits and vegetables that we eat. So don't forget about that. Like you're really consuming a lot of liquid through fruits and vegetables. Olive oil, how do you feel about that, Mary Eve?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right.
Love it. Omega-3.
Well, then I'm going to pour it on pretty heavy and thick. This is a really simple preparation. You can go ahead and add, you could do some parsley if you feel like you need a little bit of color, and that's always nice to have. You can hand tear it, but always check seasoning. What you saw me do was I always have 2 spoons on offer. So I have this spoon that goes inside the container, and then I just transfer it to this spoon, and this one goes in your mouth. So if you have a dinner guest that aren't in your own family, that are like, ooh, is he gonna put that in his mouth and then put it back in? This saves you from having, it's like double dipping, but for everybody that's gonna eat, you don't wanna do that. This one stays in here, transfers it, this one goes in my mouth. Yeah? Really simple. That's delicious. We have one that's already done, yeah? Now, don't forget about those beets and don't forget about the turkey that's in the oven. They will not be done by the time we're through here today. I did roast off the beets exactly the same way I'm doing yesterday. I did roast off the chicken, the exact same size, the same size turkey breast. So those are ready to go. The great thing about roasting it slow, low and slow, is you saw me add olive oil and salt and pepper. They are already ready to go. So all I need to do is just compose them, showcase them, and really make those flavors sing, okay? So what I want to do is make a vinaigrette, a Dijon red wine, a little bit of lemon juice vinaigrette. There are some of us out there that don't like beets. They just don't like that earthy flavor. Stronger things like a Dijon or horseradish will help that out a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little whisk. Here we are. It's always nice to have a little whisk around. Just bang out a little Dijon. And I would implore you just to try this. Really, if someone in your family doesn't like beets, do a slow roast. There's something really lovely about that silky texture when it's roasted nice and slowly. It's very soft, has a little bit of resiliency left in there. Red wine vinegar. I always like to make sure the red wine vinegar you're using is not the least expensive in the grocery store. If your bottle of red wine vinegar is this big and it costs you 79 cents, chances are when you taste it, you're going to shriek back. You're going to be like, ugh. You don't want to go, ugh. You want to go, oh, that's really good. That's a delicious red wine vinegar. So everything that I use in my arsenal, I want to make sure tastes really good, almost by itself, okay? Lemon juice, always nice to have. So we have the red wine vinegar, which has a little complexity. Lemon juice has a little bit of the citrus, but a nice punch of acid, okay?
Wow, are you making your own salad dressing? Is it that easy?
Am I? Oh, am I really doing that? Yes, I am. Okay.
What do we say every time? Make your own salad dressing. It's so much better for us than buying something that's sitting on a shelf for years.
That is going to be the wrap for our bus. Make your own salad dressing 2024.com. Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's really delicious. And then also, if you don't feel confident about making your own salad dressing, this one's going to be really easy. And the reason for that is the small amount of Dijon mustard I added in there, okay? If you're worried about it running around, you can just go ahead and tilt it up so it has a little angle like that. And then I would just go ahead and just quickly whisk in this olive oil. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be really as much as you want. There we go. We're done with that. It's nice and smooth. It's very well balanced. You can give it a taste. The best way to taste a salad dressing, honestly, is to go ahead and taste it on whatever you're serving it with. I have this lovely salad. Doesn't take a lot, doesn't take a lot of ingredients, okay? I already know that my beets are seasoned, salt and pepper, olive oil. They're delicious. They came out, Sarah had to tackle me from behind because they were so delicious. Really simple to compose. It doesn't have to be crazy complex, right? Have my dinner plate. You could do this family style if you wanted to. Have my plate, this butter leaf lettuce. You could hand tear some of them if you want. If you don't feel like doing the old knife and fork routine, it's really nice. This looks like something you would get at a pretty nice hotel, don't you think? Or like if you went to if somebody in your household played golf, and this seems like something you would have in this little golf thing. Hand torn flat leaf Italian parsley. It's not just a garnish. It's really, really flavorful. And I also have these golden beets that are beautiful. Again, they're already seasoned, so I don't have to worry about that. I have these beautiful red beets, and they're just, I mean, they're really just stunning. One of them I even cut up into these sort of slices. I think I cut them into maybe eighths, and they cook the same. So if you want to go ahead and present that, you know, a larger piece, it cooks just as thoroughly, and it's really lovely. If you wanted to go with, ooh, Mary Eve, if you wanted to go with, how is crab for a diet? Like a little creme fraiche and crab and some of these beets, that would be an amazing salad as well, if you wanted to go that route. A touch of goat cheese, which is really nice. And I always add it on at the end. And you've got yourself something really nice. And of course, that incredible vinaigrette that we just made. And I would drizzle this right over the top. You can actually prep this. For those of you that have ever worked in restaurants or catering, you would see us make 1,000 of these, put them in the fridge, and then you would dress them right at the end so they don't wilt. And you do this with whatever flair that you feel like doing it with. And it's beautifully balanced. Everything's already cooked. It's just gorgeous. So we have two things already happening here. We have the gravy behind me. We have the applesauce, which is super easy to finish up. It's already cooked through, really simple. I went ahead, again, made it yesterday just because of time. I went ahead and put all that stuff that's in behind me, right here, yesterday. Thoroughly cooked through the ginger, the cinnamon, the salt, put it in a blender and blended it until it's nice and smooth. This will be part of my lunch today. And my brother lives in Austin, so he too will be able to suck it down with that aforementioned sound of when he just takes giant spoonfuls of homemade cinnamon ginger applesauce. Okay, so that is over here, ready to go.
And you're making a smoothie with that?
I am making a smoothie with that. Let me show you the texture of this applesauce. Okay. This is what it looks like when you blend it. It has this beautiful color, this thickness. It's got this pectin in it, which is lovely. Mary Eve can look away. She doesn't have to do that. But what I want to do is show you this really lovely apple, let's call it an apple pie. Yeah, smoothie. We were talking about smoothies just seconds ago. So we go ahead and add the chilled applesauce. The reason I made it before is I can't use blazing hot applesauce, which is in the pan behind me. So I'm going to use chilled applesauce, a little bit of yogurt, some ice, a touch of nutmeg, vanilla extract, and that's essentially your apple pie. All right. A little bit of nutmeg, really super simple. And of course, the scoop of that protein powder that Mary Eve had talked about before.
And you have ice also, you're gonna add to that.
I do have ice, and that's what makes it nice and thick. All right.
Fantastic.
Half a cup of that.
And I do have a question for Mary Eve. If Mary Eve, you feel like you're
In a place.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I love this.
I'm sorry.
No, weather. Here's the question. My main problem is that I do not want to eat anything since starting chemotherapy. I want to remain strong so I can get the surgery for a cure. If I do eat anything, what should that be?
Yeah, so protein first, right? So treatment makes us use more of our nutrients, so we need more calories and we need more protein. And when appetite is not great, eating the protein first will help you to keep your muscle mass, and it's your muscle mass that gets you moving through the day. Once I start losing my muscle mass and I get weak, everyday activities are exhausting. It can also affect your treatment. So if you're not in a good place to get treatment, sometimes the team will say, let's give you another week off just to see how you can do, if you can recoup and feel better. Every time we change that, that's not really a good positive. So number one, eat your proteins first. We talked about plant proteins, but they might not be so tolerated with treatment. So it could be fish, it could be eggs, it could be chicken, it could be dairy. So yogurt, cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, it could be nut butters. All of these protein foods will do the best for you moving forward with your treatment, your tolerance. So eat them first.
That's perfect.
And we have Larry from Texas.
Larry, Texas.
Larry just arrived and curious if this can be watched in its entirety later. Yes, this will be on the Debbie Green Foundation YouTube. This will also be living on the Facebook page, so you can go back and watch it at any point. And if you sign up for these, you'll get notifications and you get all the recipes. Do that through a link that will be posted here. Stand by.
Perfect.
Somebody will be posting it.
We have 3 things already. We have 4 things. You saw me just blitz this apple pie protein smoothie. All I did was add the ice, the applesauce I made yesterday, make sure it's nice and cool. This is a lovely, lovely protein packed smoothie. We have the salad that we made with the beets. We have the carrot soup potato. We have the applesauce. We have the pizza de saisons. I didn't learn that in French. I just made that up. This is the turkey breast. It looks exactly like what we're going to pull out later on, right? I pulled it together so it cooks uniformly. I pulled it out lower around 148. Super safe, totally pasteurized, ready to go. If this were, say, a steak, I would slice it against the grain, but there's very little, if any, connective tissue in turkey breast, so that's why it's really lean. So you can slice it any which way you want. This is a slicer. This is what you see when you walk through like a wedding reception, whatever, some dude with a toque and one of these things, instead of this. This is the chef's knife, and you have to sort of like saw it. But I just wanted to show you because I also don't get to use this very often. It enables you to do these really nice, beautiful, long slices, really long. And you can actually just pull through. It's so tender. It's not dry. It's lovely. Our little mini dachshund is going nuts right now. He's going crazy on the ground. Luckily, he has tiny legs and won't be able to jump very high. But you can see It's still pink. It's lovely. It's not shredded. Like when it's overcooked, you get that sort of turkey jerky thing that's going on because people cook it to 165 and it goes way over that. Or people try to cook the dark meat to, to like 180, 185 where it should be, and then the white meat is just destroyed. It's not very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and serve this up. Mary Eve, how many of us are here today? Because I can slice, how many people are here? So let's say,
Well, two dachshunds.
okay, so 2 dachshunds, so at least this much, at least that much.
Wait, you have 2 dachshunds?
No,
Well,
your
your
dachshund as well.
Oh, my dog.
At least 2 dachshunds worth, so that's pretty much the whole turkey. And then what I would do is I would strain out all these. Okay, cool. I would strain out all the herbs normally. I don't want my guests spitting out these herbs because the herbs have already done what they're supposed to do. But if you look at the consistency, if you look at it, it's just like, it is a perfect gravy consistency. You would just cook it down to whatever texture you like. The rosemary is there, the thyme is there. We've got enough for sandwiches the next day, which is really lovely. Again, it's not overcooked. It's beautifully seasoned. That's the key to having really delicious Thanksgiving or New Year's, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you want. And you're going to serve a turkey, is just don't overcook it. So we have, that's photo ready. Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Chef,
photo ready. Let me go ahead and show
Chef.
you all the things we've made. Yes, Mary Eve.
The other thing is, we eat with our eyes, right? So
We do.
I don't have a great appetite. I really don't want to eat. But if it looks beautiful, that's going to be a good step.
Well, here we have literally all the things that we've made together. We've danced together in the most sporadic but beautiful way. It could be thought of as like spasming sometimes because we're running around. But know that everything that we made here today together can be made ahead of time. Don't dress the salad until you're ready to dress it. You can make this and rewarm it. Applesauce you already have. The turkey we've already made. And this lovely apple pie protein shake. All at your own pace because we slow roasted the beets and slow roasted that turkey. I have separation anxiety issues. I will watch this just so I can hear Mary Eve Brown's voice.
I have one last question. I think, Mary, you might have spoke about this, but Larry's asking, what foods would you suggest to help with hydration since it's hard to drink water?
Yep, we talked about that, Larry. So anything that melts to room temperature can count towards your fluids. And sometimes water with treatment, I just can get really full and uncomfortable. So anything that's caffeine free and alcohol free, can count. So that smoothie can count, soups can count, Jello can count, ice cream can count, sorbet can count. All of those things can count, provide fluid, but they also have some nutrition in them too. So I call it double duty. I'm doing 2 things at the same time. We talked about fruits too. So anything that's caffeine free can count. It doesn't have to be water. And then making sure you're getting the right amount of fluid every day. Body weight divided by 2. That's the amount of ounces I need every day.
Oh, wow.
Awesome, thank you. And then Nancy asked, could you sous vide the turkey breast instead of baking? And if so, would you do anything different?
You could absolutely sous vide it because we're not roasting it at a high temperature to get like a crispy skin. If you wanted a crispy skin, you would just put it under the broiler or in an oven that's super duper hot. But yeah, sous vide is another way of doing it. It's essentially the same thing. Sous vide is, it's for those of you that don't know, it's in a bag in a water bath and it cooks to the perfect temperature. But you can do that, but you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to. Cooking at a low temperature like 250 is going to put out just as good a product as sous vide. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. And I wouldn't do anything different. I would add a little bit of oil to it. It's going to help it cook more uniformly, but the spices would remain exactly the same. Great question.
And my sister's here. She says apple pie protein shake. I'm in.
Here we go.
We'll make it for you.
And I have this little guy. This guy's he's going nuts. You have no idea what's happening behind him. He is going nuts. So anyway, that's it, everyone. Again, thank you so much for your time, allowing us to be a part of this. It's amazing to be a part of Debbie's Dream Foundation, to be able to share what I know with you. And I learned so much from Mary Eve Brown, and I learned so much with your questions. So thank you so much for your questions. The recipes are going to be available to everyone that register, which is all of you. And you can watch this again and again and again and have fun. Happy holidays. Have a very safe and delicious New Year's.
We'll be back in 2024 too. Very exciting.
We're back.
The team will be back.
Get that tour bus.
Happy holidays and healthy new year.
Yes.
To everyone, absolutely. Wonderful.
Thank you all. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Little sponsors?
And yeah, stay tuned for our sponsor slide, and we will see everybody very soon. Thank you.
See you next year.
Oh, that was painful.